Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie and this is part 3 of my eBay series and how you can create a successful eBay store. This particular series is like aimed towards the beauty industry. You can actually apply this to pretty much any industry on eBay and make it work. So let's jump into it. This part is very specifically talking about getting started with eBay. So the very first thing, and one of the biggest questions I got in regards to my eBay store, is why I chose to use eBay rather than creating my own website. And that's actually a really good question, and it's very simply answered. The very first reason is search. So if I created my own website, I would have to work really hard to try to get my website listed on the first page of Google when people are shopping for things like a Collection 2000 concealer or a Laura Mercier eyeliner, because typically when you put in Collection 2000 concealer, the very first thing that's going to come up is the Collection 2000 company website first, and then it'll be stores that sell it. So in the UK it'll be like Superdrug, Boots, things like that. For Laura Mercier it'll be the Laura Mercier company, and then you'll get like Macy's and Sephora, Ulta, you know, things like that. And it just, you can't compete with that. You'll never be on the first page of eBay or of Google, and it's too difficult to try to compete with the really big box companies. So with eBay, people type into the eBay search Laura Mercier eyeliner, and everybody on eBay that's selling a Laura Mercier eyeliner shows up, but it's just on eBay. Then if they type it into Google, Laura Mercier eyeliner, in the shop page, you'll have Sephora, but also eBay. So you really get so much more exposure with eBay than you would with your own website. The next reason, and it's more, I'm just looking down at my notes by the way, the next reason, and it's more of a recent development, is taxes. So here in the United States, you have to pay sales tax when you purchase something online. And people were freaking out when this was coming down the pipeline and the Congress was looking into doing this, because people were like, wait a minute, you know, I live in Hawaii, how am I going to be paying sales tax to the state of Maryland and stuff like that? eBay takes care of all of that for you. So that is a huge benefit in and of itself, because a lot of people felt like they were going to have to hire a CPA in every single state in order to sell to every single state in the country. And so the fact that they take care of that for you not only saves you a ton of money, but it also saves you a ton of time. You don't have to worry about the IRS or California Franchise Tax Board or, you know, the Hawaii State Tax Board coming and knocking on your door just because you sold somebody an eyeliner. The next reason why I feel like eBay is where it's at is the shipping. So the United States Post Office specifically gives eBay stores a discount in shipping, and it's a huge discount when you start putting together how much shipping you're doing. They give you free tracking, which costs about $1.50 when you go to ship a product at the actual post office. So by getting free tracking, that's $1.50 saved. Which that's where that saying $1 saved is $1 earned, it very much comes into play here. They give discounted shipping rates. So first class mail, you can send something rather than $3.50 at the post office, you can sell it for, or ship it for about $2 with eBay. It really does come in handy with that. And then finally, the last thing is PayPal. eBay and PayPal, while they have recently separated into two separate companies, they're owned umbrella-wise by the same company. They have the same parent company. And so because of that, it makes it so easy for payments. When you get paid, it goes directly into your PayPal. The person paying you via the eBay website, they can pay with PayPal or with their credit card. It doesn't matter. It automatically goes to you. There's no having to try to hook up a PayPal button or get associated with a credit card company. You know, there's none of that. And that, to me, it just, again, is saving time, it's saving money, and just, it feels so worth it to me. So now that you know why we're going to be using eBay, now it's time to come up with a name for your store. when you're picking your name, this is something that's very important because branding is super important. And while you're selling brands that already have brand names, you yourself want to brand your store. So you're going to want social media, you're going to want your eBay store, you're going to want a website that you can put in that will redirect to your eBay store. And the reason being for all of that is it makes it easy for people to repurchase, to come back to you and say, you know, I bought that Laura Mercier eyeliner, it was amazing. I'm gonna go back to her store because she was good at customer service, she was timely with her shipping, and she wasn't overpriced. So you want to make it easy for them to find you. So when you pick the name of your store, really take some time, think about it, because once you have it, there's no changing it. And I know people say, oh, well, you can change your eBay store by doing such, such, such. You don't want to do that. You don't want to change your brand once you've started it, because then you've got old customers who knew your store as something else, and when they search for it, it's not there. So just take some time, don't rush this, and really think about what you want your brand to be. And I wouldn't call it Katie's makeup store, because first of all, they don't care that my name is Katie. And also, once you say it's a makeup store, that boxes you into just selling makeup. And one of the things you want to be able to sell in a beauty store is makeup and any beauty related items like skincare, hair care, self-tanners, you know, all of that stuff, fragrances. You don't want to box yourself in. Now, I would never sell like car parts on my beauty store, but when you title it as a beauty store rather than a makeup store, you're creating a much bigger dynamic of stuff that you can include. Your next step after you've chosen the name of your store is set up your store with eBay and set up all of your social media and get your web URL. So when you're picking your store name, make sure that the social media names and the web address names are all available. You don't want any of them to be different. You want them all to be the same so that they can find you. And the whole point of that is so you can do sales and be able to share them with past buyers. And you can offer special discounts to people who follow your Instagram, people who follow you on Twitter and Facebook. So it's really important to make sure everything's the same so that they only know you as one username and not multiple different ones. This is super important, and this has to be your next step. Write your terms and conditions. So when you're setting up your eBay store, first of all, you're gonna get a choice between doing like a personal store, a business store. All of those you'll get discounts. The bigger your store is, the cheaper you'll be able to list things, to the point where you'll be able to list things for like a penny. And I would say start off small. You don't want to do a ton of upfront costs because you have a lot of that coming. You don't, so start off small and you can always expand your store later. But with your terms and conditions, this is going to be something that will never change. You'll have it on every single eBay listing, and that's what you do about returns, what you do about refunds, your shipping terms and conditions, all of that. It's really important to have that down so that then no matter where they look on your store website, your terms and conditions are very present and they know exactly what they're getting when they purchase something from you. The next step is learning photography. I cannot tell you how frustrating it is when you go on eBay and the pictures are dark and you can't really see what color something is and you can't tell the size of it. First of all, you don't have to go buy a big expensive camera. You can just use your smartphone. The cameras on smartphones nowadays are fairly decent, and there's no point in spending $1,000 on a DSLR. You can just use like your iPhone, your Android, Samsung, whatever. But I will say you should invest in a light box and an acrylic box. So a light box it's a box with 3 sides, and one side is open and it's white, or they have like other colors you can put in, but I tend to only use white. And then I would set a small acrylic box inside of the light box and put the product on there. And that's so that it's lighted really beautifully. You can see everything really nicely. I have really small, teeny tiny photography lights, And it really does just make a world of difference. Having it on the acrylic box gets it lifted up into the air, so that then you're not like laying it down and it's indenting into some fabric or something. Having a nice sturdy acrylic box, just something small, nothing huge, really does help add a bit more of a professional touch to it. And then you can edit using like PicMonkey or Lightroom, you know, all of that. I will say, when you're taking your pictures, I would have a unsharpened pencil and lay it next to each item. The reason is you don't want to have something like a teeny tiny MAC refillable eyeshadow pan, and when you zoom in it looks huge, and then they get it and it's like this big, and then they end up leaving a bad review because they're like, it's much smaller than I thought it was gonna be. By putting in an unsharpened pencil into one of the pictures for each listing, it gives them an idea of what it looks like size-wise, because everybody knows what an unsharpened pencil looks like lengthwise. So I would use that. Also, when it comes to taking your pictures, take a lot, because in your eBay listings you can have like between 5 and 20 pictures, and I can't tell you how frustrating it is when you're shopping on eBay, and I'm sure we all know this, and there's like one really badly lit picture, and it's like, come on, you guys. So take a lot of pictures, pick out the best between 5 and 10 and put them in there. And in that picture it should include the UPC code, as well as like the bundle and the date stamp, and because that's something people can look up to make sure that it's authentic. And it makes a huge difference in your sales if you have really good quality pictures. Also, with your pictures and with every item of makeup that you're going to sell in your beauty store, please make sure to have a tester item. And a tester item is one that you cannot sell, because I can't stress this enough. It is illegal in the United States to sell used cosmetics. That's something that eBay takes very seriously. They will shut your store down if you're caught selling used cosmetics, because it's a health hazard. Like, you can't use a lipstick and then sell it to somebody. That's disgusting. So always have one product out of every single category of items that you buy. So if you have 20 Coral Lancome lipsticks, have one that you take and you swatch on your hand and put it in the picture so they can see the color on different, it's obviously you're just one skin tone, so they'll see it on one skin tone, but it gives them an idea of what the color is, and then that lipstick is yours forever. You can't sell it. If you don't want it, throw it away, but do not try to sell it in your store. The next thing I would say is you need to look at investing in your supplies. The very first thing that you should own if you have an eBay store is a postal scale. You can get these really cheap on Amazon. I am going to link every single thing that I talk about. The photo box, the light, the mini photographer lights, the postal scale, all of that will be linked down below in every single description box for this series. But get yourself a postal scale, because you need to be able to weigh the items before you ship them, or else you won't be able to ship them via the eBay shipping center, and you'll end up paying more at the post office. The next thing that you need is your mailers. So this is where I actually made my very first mistake. I started buying bubble mailers at Office Depot. They came in a box of 50 for about, I'd say like $30 or $40. And that's just ridiculous. You can get them a lot cheaper if you buy them through companies online. There's American Box Corp, which I'll link down below. You can also buy them on Amazon. I'll link those down below, and then also on Etsy, which I'll link down below as well. And you can get huge amounts of them for about 20 cents each versus $2 or $3 that I was paying at Office Depot. And you want the bubble mailers because you want to make sure nothing gets damaged in shipping, because remember, you're a store, which means you have to offer returns and refunds. There are no the sales are final type thing. So if something arrives damaged, you have to be prepared to refund them and you have to be prepared to ship them a new one. I will say, and this is something I'll put in the last video about best practices, when it comes to returns, always make the customer return the item to you, whether or not it's damaged, it doesn't matter, because you will every now and then run into people who will say something's returned because they want to, or say something's damaged because they want a refund, but they don't want to return it because it's not actually damaged. They just want the product and to have their money back too. So always make them return it to you. It really does make a difference, and then that way I know you'll end up with some items that are damaged and you'll just have to throw them away, but in the end it works out better for you. You'll also want to get labels that you can just put into your printer and have them print out, and you just peel it off and put it on. I think it's kind of unprofessional when I get products from eBay stores that's like printed on paper and like weirdly taped on. Just get the labels. The labels are nice because they're thick. They stand up really well to inclement weather, meaning like snow or rain, and so they don't bleed or anything like that where paper can. And then also what I like about them is you can reuse packaging because they have a blackout layer. So when you put it on, it covers up any old barcodes or anything like that. I will also link those down below, and I'm also going to link my printer down below. It is expensive, but it has 2 different paper drawers so that you have one drawer that's just labels and one drawer that's your normal printer paper, and it makes a huge difference. Another thing you'll want to invest in is bubble wrap. You do not want to get the big air pockets because those are too big. They won't fit right into bubble mailers. And typically with most products like a lipstick, you won't need to put any additional bubble wrap around it, but for something like an eyeshadow that can be damaged a lot easier, I would put a tiny bit of bubble wrap around it in order to protect it so it got there safe and sound. Because if you think about it, the better you ship an item, the less likely it is to be damaged, which means less likely for returns. And then here are 2 things that I did that I feel like really set my store apart from any other store on eBay. And one of the things I did was in every single package, there was a little 3x5 card that it had my store name and my store logo, which was a little bee, and it was written really beautifully, and I actually got them printed via Vistaprint, and I think I bought like 500 of them at a time for something like $40. It wasn't that expensive. And it's basically, it just says like my store name, my social media names for my store, and it's like, you know, come back, repurchase from us, and put in the message, because at the time eBay didn't offer discount codes. So they could instead put in a note to seller like return customer 101, something, you know, put in something so that then I would refund them a 10% of what the fee was, stuff like that. And that's something that a lot of people liked. It was a personal touch, and also by offering the return discount or return customer discount, it's something that encouraged buyers to come back to my store. And then another thing I did was I included samples. So people love to get free stuff. Like, you can ask Ulta and Sephora about that. People are all about those samples. And I started a thing where I would give them 1 free sample for every $10 they spent. And that was added into every single listing. It was down at the bottom in my terms and conditions, 1 free sample for every $10 spent. And there would be some people that they even messaged me and they'd be like, I'm 30 cents away from $30. Could I please get the 3rd sample? You know, something like that. And so it's something that they loved. And I know what you're thinking, like, where do I get samples? So every now and then wholesalers will have them, but one of the places I got them was eBay. If you put in beauty samples into the eBay search box, you'll find things like Dove shampoo samples, the little tiny, not bottles, but the little foil packets. You'll find perfume samples. You'll find all kinds of makeup samples. You'll find a lot of things like Mary Kay, Senegence, you know, things like that, where they have samples for their MLM people who sell it to other people. And so I started buying a lot of those, and then I would mix up the samples I would give out, and people loved it. So by including samples and including return customer discount codes, like I honestly, a huge portion of my business was return customers, especially because I would give them a discount code if they liked my Facebook page. And then on my Facebook page, I would always put when the sales are, whenever I put new products in the store. And it really does make a big difference when you have between like 5,000 and 10,000 likes on your Facebook page. That's huge exposure for people who are like, oh, I didn't need a new Estee Lauder lipstick, but she has some in stock and I also have my discount code. You know, it's a great way of growing your business by using the discount codes, the samples, and applying it towards social media as well. Okay, so you have your eBay store name, you have your eBay store set up, you've got your terms and conditions written, you have already gotten your shipping supplies and all of that. One thing I want to talk about really quickly when it comes to shipping supplies, and I should have mentioned this earlier, don't over package things to where it makes it heavy. So that's one of the things I learned when I first started doing the beauty boxes that I talked about in my eBay story, is I used these really beautiful boxes and I would put all the products in, and they had like these cotton like pad things laid down on the bottom, and then I'd put the products in and I'd put the cotton pad on top, and it was really beautiful, but it made it weigh a lot more, which meant the price of shipping was higher. So when you're picking out your supplies of things that you want to ship in, don't put something into a box and then into a bubble mailer, because you're just screwing yourself on the shipping weight. There will come a point where people are like, that shipping is too high, I'm not going to pay that. And we've all done that, where we're like, that seems too high. So really think about how you're packaging items before you open up your store. But so you've got all of that stuff, and now you're ready to get started. So I would say when you're starting off, start off small with every single wholesaler, which I'm linking all of mine down below. With every single wholesaler, it's really important your first order with them is small. So for some wholesalers, the minimum order is 30 pieces of something. Do the minimum order, and that's because you want to see how the package arrives, how the wholesaler works with their clients, the genuinity of the product, you know, things like that. Genuinity, I don't even know if is it genuine? But anyways, yeah, so start off small and be prepared for there to be a lull in things. Don't expect to launch your eBay store and have 50,000 orders in the first day. It doesn't work like that, and that's okay. So now we are going to be moving into video 4, which is all about shipping, and I'm going to take you through everything regarding shipping. So make sure you have a notepad ready for that, and let's jump into video 4.